Well, hello everybody. So good to have you all here. Hello, Kim.
Hiya. Hello,
How are you?
everyone. Yeah, I'm
Good
good,
to-
thank you. Yeah, great. It's good to be
Yeah.
here. Good to be talking about my favorite subject.
Yeah, likewise. And thank you everybody for watching. We are super excited to be sharing with you today this streaming. Um, so we've been on a row of discovering and producing some amazing material for you all. If you haven't watched yet, just to brief you a little bit, we have started this project which is called Plantas Maestras, just as you can see up here, together with the school, with the Ancestral school, which you can see down there, the Escuela Ancestral. With the intention of leaving a legacy from different elders and different people who we work on the field of the different plants and the knowledge of the plants, but also to share with you that sometimes we know just a little side of this world, but when we start listening to ancient stories and ancient wisdom regarding these plants, we start discovering a huge world around. So yeah, we're really happy with Kim. We've been working here in this project and coordinating different teams across lands, like here in Colombia, there in the UK, and also in Portugal. So producing these amazing documentaries. So if you haven't watched yet, later on I'm going to leave you here with some links. In fact, you can visit that link down there that you can see, Escuela Ancestral Colombia. You can visit it on Facebook and you can watch. So far we have launched 3 documentaries, and the latest one was about quinoa. So one of the magical food from the stars, as this documentary has been called. So I don't know, Kim, if you wanted to say some hello or some opening before we invite Rocio in.
Yeah, just it's a really amazing sharing about quinoa, and really excited that Dr. Rocio Alarcón is here with us, who is an ethnobotanist and actually world-renowned herbalist as well, and is known all around the world for the work that she does with plants and with hummingbirds and with regenerating lands in Ecuador. And it's a real great privilege to have her here with us today, talking and sharing about quinoa and bringing back that cultural context, which I loved what she shared in the video. So
exactly. Yeah, really beautiful. Yeah, thank you for introducing her. And also, I just want to talk to the audience that we are going to, we're doing it today in English. Rocio is from Ecuador, but we're doing this in English. We're doing it in both languages, the whole material. So we found out that the easiest way for all of us in terms of logistics was to produce this in English today, but on the next few days we're going to have the subtitles in Spanish ready for you, for your families and friends as well, so that they can also watch this with subtitles. So I'm just going to say this briefly in Spanish, just so that the audience who is here may be confused, not knowing whether we're going to do it in Spanish or not. So if you give me just a few minutes just to mention this. Sure. Buenas tardes a todos aquellos que están viéndonos en español. Quería solamente comentarles que, muy bienvenidos si están por aquí viéndonos. Estamos muy contentos de estar una vez más acá con ustedes. Hoy vamos a tener esta sesión de preguntas y respuestas con la doctora Rocío Alarcón, quien nos va a acompañar hoy en este compartir muy especial acerca de la quinoa. Este pequeño inserto en español que estoy haciendo es para comentarles que por logísticas decidimos hacerlo todo en inglés hoy, y en los siguientes días vamos a hacer la traducción al español con subtítulos. Entonces, para que si ustedes no hablan inglés o no entienden inglés, entonces yo creo que hacia el jueves más o menos ya tendremos la versión subtitulada. Entonces, para que estén pendientes, aquí la vamos a estar publicando. Entonces, muchas gracias. Igual, nos veremos para aquellos que no hablen inglés, como les digo, el jueves, y pues voy a volver a continuar. Vamos a cambiar a inglés. Muchas gracias igual por estar acá. Ok, esa fue la pequeña introducción. Entonces, bueno, invitamos a Rocío que nos acompañe. Rocío está por aquí ya esperándonos. Hola, hola, Rocío.
Buenas noches acá.
Eso, buenas noches. ¿Cómo estás? How are
Todo
you?
muy bien, muy feliz de apoyar la Escuela Ancestral de Colombia. Estoy muy feliz. I'm very happy to share what I was learning in my roots, and very happy to share with your fantastic ancestral schooling from Colombia. Made me feel very
Beautiful.
proud of that area of the world that is giving energy and impulse the knowledge of our lands to the planet. Thank you, Anthar. Thank you, Kim.
Thank you, Rocio. And like Kim said, it's a great privilege for us to have you here as well, because just like you said, this is what this was all about and what this is all about, which is really sharing with people the wonderful world of the plants. And also, I guess, one of the beautiful things that is happening so far with the documentaries that we have shown so far about corn and quinoa is how interesting is that a plant that might be resting on your cupboard or that you buy in a shop to eat, like just randomly sometimes. Thanks to these sharings and this wisdom that people such as yourself are bringing and sharing, are bringing a total different approach to something that become like normal or the kind of easy thing that you do in the shop, but so amazing to start connecting us all with the wisdom of where this food actually comes from. And just for the fact that next time you see it and you start understanding what is involved on it, that changes the whole story. So thank you for that, what you brought. So really, really special.
I think that the main point of your school is the education. And in that word means, when we accept to be part of this program, is the compromise of us talking about the master plans, what America, especially that beautiful south between Ecuador, Colombia, Bolivia, Mexico, all that area can offer to the planet, and was offering all the time. And sometimes we don't have ideas. So beautiful to share. And for me, so important to share the wisdom of the quinoa, which now is called superfood. And totally. We can find in the shops out of our countries. We can find in shops where people is looking for a special food, a special energy, a special way to reinforce the body. But it's so important to know the roots of that superfood. And of course, how we are eating in our countries, what parts of the plant, because make me very sad, and I'm not criticizing, make me very sad when I can hear many experts in diet in some programs saying quinoa is a cereal. Not a cereal. Quinoa is not a cereal. Quinoa is coming from a different family of plants. Cereal coming from Poaceae family. Poaceae means the grass. All the grass we can call Poaceae family. Quinoa is not a type of grass. Quinoa is another family of plants we call Chenopodiaceae family, which is important to put this little, I know sometimes people say, oh my God, that is bored, but it's not. It's very important to put the reality of our plant that is not a cereal, doesn't have gluten, and have all the amino acids all the amino acids that we are needing to produce the top protein. So that's the quality of quinoa. We are thinking how many years the people working with quinoa in our countries. Of course, iconography showing, and of course some studies of experts, ethnobotanists, showing that quinoa maybe 3,000 years ago BC. You can imagine that.
Wow.
Amazing. It's even before the Incas. Our roots, 1,000 years ago. So it was always what the Incas called to the quinoa, the mother grain. Quinoa is the mother grain. It's considered a female plant for the power, for the energy in the spiritual side, for the communication with the heaven. Always say quinoa came to the earth like stars, and we can hold in the hands the quinoa and shining like stars to give us the energy that we are needing, especially for women during the pregnancy. Different preparations that our grannies were showing us. So this is only a little introduction about the power of the quinoa in the physical and in the spiritual sides.
Absolutely, that's really beautiful. I wanted to say actually to the audience, just invite you guys, if those who are watching now, to use the chat box, and if you feel you have any question to Rocio, any question about quinoa, any maybe thoughts that come to your mind, also maybe even about the production of that we are doing. If you already watched the video, anything, any questions that you have, I think that would be really, just put it in the chat box and we will be passing them to Rocio. So I don't know, Kim, if you wanted to maybe have some. Do you have any of your questions there for Rocio in the meantime? Or?
Yeah, I was going to ask you that. So, say for example, someone's been eating quinoa, for a while as a staple food in their home or as a superfood. However, their relationship currently, how can they change the relationship and the dynamic? Is there something that they can do, whether a small ceremony or to contact and to deepen the relationship to quinoa that you know of, or there's some advice for people?
Well, usually what you find out of our countries, even I will say in our countries like Colombia, Ecuador, I don't know, Anthar probably in your country, and I saw in Peru too, most of the time people offer the grain, the seed of quinoa. You can find the seed in different shops, but suddenly quinoa, one of the varieties is very famous, and you can find only one or two varieties in our countries. Usually in our country, I'm going to focus in Ecuador, especially in the Andes Mountains where I grow, usually more than 10 different varieties of quinoa for different reasons, like for chicha, for like a popcorn. You can make a popcorn with quinoa, delicious. You can make bread, salad, different preparations with the grain. But if we look more into the plant, people use and eat the leaves, which is we don't find in the markets. We don't find any place, but you can find when you have your own garden, or in your own what we call chakra, our own place where we have the plants. So we harvest the leaves and we prepare a special soup. I tell you, it's delicious. That you don't find the leaves, and when we left the countries, suddenly we miss that type of preparations. And of course, the chicha is other preparation, which is so good because it's a process of fermentation, good for our gut, for our stomach, and all the bacteria, the good bacteria. That is another completely different preparation that combined with other plants. Our grannies, they were combining with other spicy plants to produce a special taste and beautiful color, and so good for the body.
One question there in terms of the preparations. Actually, I was just thinking, for example, for the popcorn one that you're saying, each of the species are like work for specific recipes, or like I know like we will use quinoa in different versions, sometimes even with rice, or like you said, with soup, even to make like quinoa burgers and things like that. But for example, for do you think for such a specific thing, because I've seen also like not only popcorn but also like how do you call this, like it's like they're kind of flat, they're used for like to mix with your cereals and things like that. So I can't remember how you call these ones. They're kind of flat.
Yes, we put the quinoa we prepare with some sugar. It's type of no sugar but melasa. I don't know.
Yeah, molasses.
It's a delicious, like a dessert. Yes.
Okay,
yes.
But you think the popcorn will work with any species of them, or it's like a specific species of quinoa?
Well, if you try it, can work with any species.
Any.
But usually we have some specific which make like a big size of the like a popcorn. And that's the beauty. That's I'm saying. Sadly, we are losing the varieties.
I see.
That is why I love your program about master plans, because give courage the people to keep in the production of different varieties, please, because that's save the planet. And quinoa was declared in 2013 the year of the quinoa for the United Nations. 2013 was declared the year of the quinoa, because quinoa is considered that will save the planet in the future. The important grain. No pests, doesn't need pesticides. Why? Because quinoa has some specific texture with saponins that the bugs didn't like. That type of don't like this texture of the like a soap that is having the quinoa. And for me, I remember my granny, she was washing some clothes because she collect the water after the process of the quinoa. She collect that water to wash some clothes. I wonder if local people can do something different, but that is a very, very ancestral information about the family using the quinoa.
I see. Well, I had a question which you answered a little bit earlier on, which what I was going to ask is about the other parts of the plant. So I mean, we know of the seeds particularly. So I had that question within me, like, as in like you answered a little bit about the leaves. I thought, I don't know, maybe what about the stems, because I know the stems are quite long and quite particular, and even the roots. So sometimes with the plants, we just don't know the secrets that the roots have, or the bark, or the stem. So I wonder if there is anything that you know of, and maybe some uses. No, like I don't know. Sometimes maybe the stem of a plant could work as a insecticide. I don't know, or things that we just don't know. So I don't know if that's something you could share with us a little.
Well, with the roots, of course, usually smash the roots, crush the roots, and spread in the fields where people is going to put the products to prevent and to kill some bugs, to prevent pests. That's one of the very old uses into my family, because we grow with quinoa. And great granny, I was so lucky to meet with her, and usually they were using all the parts, like the roots. Of course, when they harvest, because this needs to be by hand, because tiny seeds.
Yeah.
So when is in the end, at the end of the stem is the quinoa. So the way to harvest is just pushing up the seeds and coming out. And that was the typical way before. I don't know if now are some technology, I don't know. But after that, of course, they leave the plants to dry and use for, most of the time they use to purify the soils. purify the soils. That was part of the process. Or put in the compost area, and for sure if they put in the compost area, no good. They always leave to dry under the sunshine and keep separate, because quinoa has these saponins that are strong.
I see. In fact, we are now that you're talking about the different parts of the plant, I think we're receiving now some questions here, which actually I think complement what you're saying, because we have here Nicola Maul. She's saying, well, just to read her comment, she says, I am really enjoying watching this series. Thank you. I had a question about quinoa. I had read somewhere at some time that although an ancient grain, it is an important plant that in the future may be very important, as it can grow in many different environments around the world. Thinking about perhaps climate changes, etc. She said, "Oh, you might have answered the questions as I write, but is there anything else that you want to complement around this? Because actually, in fact, maybe I just read Henry." Which, hello Henry, dear friend here from Colombia, Henry Bamon. He also writes something about it. He says he's asking, does it grow at low levels? So maybe this is about where it can grow. I mean, can you actually grow it in your home there, wherever you are? What kind of, what do you say about these things?
Well, quinoa usually is growing in high altitude in the Andes Mountains. However, it was 2 or 3 varieties that usually they were growing in, let's say, 1,500 meters over the sea level, which for us is so low, but less than that, I don't think so. But it's a challenge, and I don't doubt that probably some of the varieties that we had before probably were growing in more low altitude. But usually quinoa is needing the cold of the wind of the Andes Mountains, the cold weather, this special season that is cold and dry in the top of the mountains. Remember, Bolivia has a very good quality of quinoa. Where is the center of the origin is in Bolivia, in high altitude, very high altitude. And for me, it's always a challenge how the Incas empire learned how to collect all these plants and distribute, because they didn't fight with the lands, because we have the historical process that before the Incas, it was a big centers of power in these areas of America, Colombia, Ecuador, Peru, Bolivia. Well, when the Incas arrived from the south, they took all these magic grains like quinoa, like corn, like squash, and they took the quinoa and they didn't fight with the people, but they distribute the food. In that way, they took the land and took the people and the wisdom of that people, the pre-Inca people. So they use the food, and I think that America, that areas of America, needs to work in that area, because yes, technology coming from other countries, from the first world, come on, that part of America has quinoa, the power to feed the people, the power to give us the magic in the spiritual side, to open like the Incas and like the curandero, which I come from. They say the quinoa allow you to talk with the wind and allow you to talk with the heaven. That means quinoa for that part of America, which I'm very proud. I'm mestizo, the mixed with indigenous and learning with the grannies. So that is who we are for the planet.
And I wonder if, because I had, when you start, when they said these questions and you were talking about, it just made me think of how interesting is when the varieties pretty much mutate when they grow in different areas, doesn't it? Because I did this for the last few years. In fact, at Kim's place in Bedford, at the Colloquial Center, and different other places in the UK. We have, in fact, in Portugal as well. I brought some seeds of tobacco, and we wanted to see if when we are doing sharing in different land, in this case, for example, the UK, instead of bringing the plant, dry plant, to over there, what could it be if the plant actually grew over there, so that the seed actually grows in a different territory that has a complete different historical input, and not only in the soil but also spiritually, and the whole lineage and everything that has been happening there. So I wonder, for example, if something like quinoa, I even didn't know whether tobacco was gonna thrive or anything. We all try it, and it's been blooming. It's been like amazing. So that's been an interesting discovery. So now I wonder whether we could do something with quinoa, for example, just as thinking about Scotland or places that are quite highlands, or anything that's quite cold, that is not high though, but is cold because of the equator, the distance of the equator. So would that work, or do you think actually also the altitude will be needed? I mean, how does that work? What do you think is the right combination there?
Yes, I think that you put an example, and I'm going to mention that, for example, when people from England went to America and they brought here the potatoes, you know that the guy who brought the potatoes to the first person who brought potatoes to Europe from the border between Peru and Ecuador, they took the potatoes and brought here. I don't remember his name. Well,
Right. Mm-hmm.
And but the quality of the potatoes are good, but not perfect, like in Peru or Ecuador.
Yes.
And yes, I believe in the coevolution. What I call the coevolution is the relationship between humans and plants. And in that coevolution is the result of different varieties and biodiversity. And that is the beauty. This plant was adapted to the high altitude and take ages to adapt to another places. Mutations can produce the adaptation. I don't doubt. And of course, now there are some places around the world that are producing quinoa, probably more than in South America, but the varieties are the secret. And for me, I think that is the main point. Some varieties, they don't adapt, they love the high altitude, and others probably, like now we have in some shops here, probably growing in, like you say, probably in UK or in Portugal. I don't know about that. But for me, the main point is to keep the local people. They need to keep the wisdom and keep in the hands the varieties.
Yeah.
That's the main point, because we are losing so much biodiversity with somebody mentioning about the changes in the weather, the climate, the planet is a real chaos. But the power for all of us in the planet is not the money. The power, the seeds and the land where the plants are growing happy and have the possibility to feed the people. The young people deserve from us that demanding. They need to eat quality, and that is the role, I think, from that area of America, because we are the center of biodiversity in the planet.
Kim, sorry, did you guys know Amanda Bertucci? Which Amanda, hello, thank you for being there. Amanda is writing here about a relative in the UK called Fat Hen. Did you know? Do you know? Is it that's the right spelling, Fat Hen?
Yes, that's right. Well, actually, like I really agree with what Rocio is saying. It's like, for me, one of the main points is that we encourage everybody to keep the biodiversity and save seeds, because we've lost so many heritage plants here in the UK. And it's so important, because some of these varieties, it's a really massive loss once the seeds have gone. So I'm in real support of that. But I also know there are varieties that grow in the UK because I've grown it.
Yes.
Garden, yeah.
That's great.
So I grew it, and when I grew it, actually, as it was growing, I thought, oh my goodness, what is all this fat hen growing in my bed?
Okay.
Yeah, because it's so similar when it first starts growing. So yeah, that was something that happened, and actually it helped me to really truly appreciate quinoa, because when it came to the harvesting, I couldn't believe what was involved. And I thought, oh my goodness. And so we harvested the seed, but I obviously, not knowing the next steps in the process, I was hoping to use it as a cereal in the morning to add into porridge and things. Then I didn't manage to fulfill that next part. So it was really lovely to hear Rocio speaking about it. So I was washing it a lot, and the Real Seed Company here in the UK, I don't know if they still have them, because they grow seeds and they harvest them and they keep certain species going. They sell quinoa, and it's a really great place to find seed in the UK that grows in our climate. I really also just am really behind what Rocio is saying, in that, where the species is originating and growing, to keep all of those seeds and to be tending quinoa. And if you're in a region in Colombia, Ecuador, or somewhere that it could thrive, is to hunt out these species and to start growing.
Exactly. And could I ask if you wanted to complement something, Rocio? But just before that, I wanted to just to tap on this comment from Henry, which many of us maybe know about this. But could you complement a little bit of why, for those who don't know, why it's very important to wash very well before preparation?
That is the. And thank you, Henry. I love this relationship between people and plants. That is I love to talk about this. What is the meaning of coevolution? Is not only working into the to make dependence between the plant and we as humans in the garden, but is how we learn how to take the best of the plant to feed the people. And of course, if we harvest quinoa and we eat like that, it's impossible. It's impossible, because has saponins, has soap. It's soap. You wash and foam is coming and never ends. So it's a matter of washing and removing the foam until the quinoa is completely clean. Because if you eat like that, if it's not very well washed, very well, we call desaguar. I don't know how in English that word. Desaguar, remove, put in water and wash.
Yeah.
It's completely bitter. It's impossible to eat. It's impossible. So look how the seeds can be very picky to protect themselves of the other creatures. In humans, in this relationship, humans discover, I know how to eat the quinoa. Just first washing and removing, and after we dry perfectly well, and it's ready to eat. So these little secrets, that is the meaning of coevolution between humans and plants. And Henry very nice explained there, the wash many times. Before, when the rivers were clean, people usually put in I remember in a sack of cloth, we call cabuya. They put there, tied perfectly well near to the rivers, and the river were washing until it was okay. And that was the beauty at that period. In my time, I remember soap, it was very expensive, so grannies collect all that soap, all that foam that I was saying before, to wash dishes, or to wash clean, or for medicinal uses.
Yeah, I wonder. That was a question I had. That I wonder if that could be used as a natural soap, and maybe with a process of maybe evaporating the water, you are left with this precious foam, natural foam that you could, I don't know, just put together as a soap or something. I'm not entirely sure whether this is actually. Did you know anything about, Kim or Rocio, about any products that actually use the soap of this as a cosmetic?
Always I encourage, because at the same time, excuse me, I am in the communities. I encourage the communities to do that, but of course, it is a matter of feel shame for the way of that quinoa. Probably the people is not going to accept, and always I'm thinking it is a natural product and is less impact into the environment. And of course, at the same time, it's medicinal. People with problems on the skin, with terrible infections, just with grannies, and this is coming from my family. They use the foam and special preparation to apply into the skin, or it's a medicine for animals. At that period, remember, animals had some, like even now, animals having these, ticks. With leech animals, parasites. So applying that and clean perfectly well. And for me, always I'm wondering, with the pandemic problem that we have related, not with the virus, but the pandemic problem that nobody is putting the alarm, but really is a big problem now, especially in North America, the problem with Lyme disease. That really millions of people infected with that, and terrible impact, which is the result of this tiny tick. Who knows? It's only because my mind coming from the research area. Who knows if the foam, this product, which is against parasites, can help? Maybe. So I wonder if some of the students want to do a research about that.
It's really special. Sorry, just another little question here that popped into my mind is about ancestry, and because in Colombia we highly value the quinoa as we have always called the seeds from the stars. That's for sure a common way for us to call it. And in ceremonies and in traditional uses, I think it's also a symbol of abundance, because it's pretty abundant. It's a lot that it's actually bringing. So I was wondering if there is anything in particular that maybe, I don't know, from Ecuador or in general, any relation to ancestral practices or ancestral uses or anything like that you probably know of.
Yes, of course, talking about, I read about especially in Bolivia and Peru, magnificent rituals and ceremonies with the quinoa. But in my country too, in Ecuador, and I was part of that when I was a young girl ages ago. So usually it wasn't a field that is not blessed by the quinoa to produce in better quality products, and it was the way to offer part of the harvest quinoa. The first amount always offered to the divine forces, to the father sun and the mother moon, to offer the quinoa, because we believe that the quinoa is a female entity, and in sacrifice her life, deciding to come to support the humans, and divide her body in different parts and transforming in stars. So always spread into the fields through a ceremony, people singing, blessing the land, and usually singing like hawa 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 mama quinoa hawa hawa sung sung. In the song, keep going, as much as I remember Granny singing that.
Beautiful. That was so beautiful that you share the song, and actually for myself doing the music as well. That was a great inspiration to take those little phrases and just really empower the practice and all this amazing wisdom. There is something here that Henry's also commenting.
Okay, so Henry's asking if we can make a tincture made from quinoa. And he's saying that he guessed we use the leaves, but maybe you can expand on that, whether you know of this or...
Yes, of course. You know that quinoa has this amino acid that now is very important to fight this virus, the COVID. Lysine is the amino acid that you can find in pills and to release the inflammation with this virus. Quinoa has that into the amino acids in the grains and I suppose in the leaves. But yes, you can do a tincture because it's so medicinal against some problems like inflammation in the body, help with to prevent anemia when the blood is poor. Yes, help in that, and it has all the amino acids. That is the magic. So I don't doubt that tincture could be fantastic. It is so healing. It is so good. Granny usually we didn't call at that period, they didn't call tincture, but they call they prepare in a special beverage that we call puntas. I don't know how you call that in Colombia. Probably you say puntas. This very high level of sugar cane.
Okay.
In shots, and they put the plants there, and she put the leaves of quinoa and macerate for 2 months, who knows, and after giving us 2 drops in the morning. So healing, so good.
Yeah, I wonder. We've been with Kim exploring also through the courses that we're running. Also, one of the particular uses of the plant that we sometimes don't imagine is the smudging. They use some of these plants for smudging, and what sort of qualities come to you when you experience it like that. Sometimes we can actually expect a smoke to be very bitter, but surprisingly could be quite sweet, or can make us feel so pleasant or so unpleasant. So it's interesting to see how, when we explore, and I think this is an invitation to all of you who are watching this, that, if you very respectfully always explore the plants and talk to the plants. And this is why we're aiming to do this series and to do the courses that we're running and everything, because we really want you to explore and to enter into to deepen your connection with the plants and unveil its mysteries and all these amazing things. So in fact, I was gonna say something from the kind of personal practice of quinoa, Rocio. If there is, what's your favorite recipe for those who are also watching and saying, well, I actually got quinoa in my cupboard, but I never really know what do I do with this? What's something that you say, oh, my favorite? What's that one?
I love chicha.
All right. So could you explain?
I love chicha. In this quinoa just ferment more fast than the corn, I will say. But I love the combination because my granny, she was adding some spices into the quinoa preparation, and she allowed the quinoa to she macerate the quinoa into the melaza,
like black molasses,
black sugar. Yes, we call honey of sugar cane. So that was and put that together in when depending the amount that you want to do, but usually she put like 2 pounds of quinoa and add I don't know, maybe 5 liters of water, and just macerate, adding, of course, boiling first, and after leaving with some spices, which at the moment I don't remember in English the names, but I promise that I will send to you the recipe. But she left for a short period because, as I'm saying, quinoa ferment very fast. but the taste is so amazing. Even now my mouth make saliva because I just saw when I was a little girl, obviously that we think that all is for granted in life until the grannies they went, and I was asking to my mother, and my mother, she prepares delicious. And I will say something that is, I think that can guide us about the plant. Quinoa is relative of the beets, you know, these big roots that we call beets, and it's red color.
Yeah.
Just to give you an idea about the family of the plants, and it's relative of the spinach. They are into the same family, and that's the beauty. And my granny, she was preparing the chicha with the root, with the beets plus quinoa, which is into the same family. I tell you, it's madness, the taste. I should prepare and invite you to invite the friends to taste this. It's crazy delicious, and I suppose very healthy.
Amazing.
I've just harvested my beetroots, so I'll send some over to you, Rocio.
For me,
I said I just harvested some beetroots, so I'll send them over.
we should prepare a chicha de quinoa. We should prepare at Club Hill Center. Will be great.
Oh, make a video and show everybody.
Absolutely, yeah, that'll be a good idea. And in fact, I remember in the video, those who haven't watched, actually, I'm going to leave you guys. Wait a second. Okay, so that, because we were covering with we couldn't really see the link. So on this link, Escuela Ancestral Colombia, you can on Facebook. It's also, hang on, I'm gonna split here a little bit the words. Probably you can see them better. There you go. So Escuela Ancestral Colombia, you can visit this one on Facebook, but also on YouTube as well. So you can watch the videos there. But on Facebook, we have a bit more interaction and a bit more posts going on. So we highly invite you to go and visit here, because there's where you can watch Rocio talking in depth about the quinoa as well. And I remember you talking again about the recipes for maybe something simpler that people could just literally probably could just go tomorrow for lunch and prepare. I remember that you sounded quite keen on the mixture of quinoa with potato particularly.
Yes, that is the soup of quinoa. That's very easy to prepare. You just put water, a liter of water, and you put 3 tablespoons of quinoa, and add garlic, spring onions, so what we call white onions, and chop all of that, and add potatoes, and cook. And after, in the blender, put some peanuts there and blend, and after add. And cook, and when it's boiling, and give the time to cook very well, and the quinoa just make a little heavy. Delicious. Simple like that. It take, I will say, 45 minutes, 1 hour to prepare that, because already quinoa you can buy only to put in the pot. So it's so easy to prepare potatoes, so easy. Always garlic and spring onions, and add peanuts that you grain very well, and add to the soup. I tell you,
that sounds good.
And it's very fast. And how the level of protein is excellent,
That
especially
sounds
for
good.
people who is vegetarian.
Well, I think thank you, Rocio, for that, because the idea, I think, with all this knowledge and this recreating relations to plants, I think at the end of the day, what truly matters is to be able to make it into something that we can incorporate into our lives, isn't it? That it's not just about the ancestry and the stories and everything, but actually to be able to hand them own hands and prepare it for your family, for your beloved ones. And I think this is what it is. And how beautiful is that when you guys who are watching, maybe tomorrow or the next few days, you actually go and prepare maybe this soup or maybe other recipes that you guys find maybe even in internet. But by the time that you share it to your beloved ones, you can share all these beautiful stories that Rocio have shared with us. Maybe even sing the song to the quinoa to say thanks. And that is when this information that we are putting out for free to all of you becomes so meaningful, because this is what it is. It goes beyond the shop, it goes beyond the package, goes beyond the recipe, and it goes into honoring the existence of this being, this plant. So I think that it's, you know, it's an invitation to all of you. If you don't have quinoa, go and, you know, I'm sure you can, these days you can find it anywhere, and there's these different varieties as well. You can find, like Rocio have been saying, the multicolor ones, or, you know, anything you can find. So this is an invitation. And also, well, I wanted to just kind of going towards the end, Rocio, were two things. What's next on your journey of life? Is anything you want to share? Anything that is coming up on your side? And also would like to how can people get in touch with you as well? So if you remind me, and I can just quickly add here and just tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I will say that really, I love your program through your school, and of course many things to share, coming in be neighbors like Colombia and Ecuador. Probably just thinking that more than welcome to visit our center in the Amazonian or in the Andes Mountains, Yamoe Center, www.yamoe Center, where we practice about cooking or practicing master plants that in another level to move to another dimensions, or to move into the dimension of the food, or for healing process. So we are neighbors and we can share, and that is the beauty. And the last thing is that I would love to put in our center a tree with the name of your ancestral school, to have a tree in the middle of the Amazon that is producing the oxygen for the planet.
Beautiful.
So we will be very happy.
Oh, that sounds so beautiful, Rocio. I am adding here. Is this? Hang on. I'm just. Let me add this one. There's this one, and hang on, just a sec. Okay, so we have this one. Oh dear me, hang on. And let me just add the other one here. I think, let's see if this works.
And there's some really amazing things happening with the IMY Center, and there's the website is so beautiful, and if you go on, you can see all the wonderful things that Rocio is doing and that she's developing, and part of that protecting the Amazon, the rainforest in Ecuador, and the hummingbirds, and the trail of the hummingbirds to come, and wonderful, wonderful ecological restoration projects, as well as all of the women's wisdom that you share, the plant wisdom, and all the ways which you share with us your ancestral lineage and your roots, and you gift us all of this knowledge and wisdom for us to have better lives. So thank you, Rocio. Thank you so much, and thank you to your ancestors, and for all the wonderful things that you share.
Thank you, and yeah, everybody you can visit these links. Thank you, Joanna. We're missing you all from here, and yes, we're very happy to be here collaborating, and just like you said, doing our thing, and how important during these difficult times where, you know, sometimes finding the right way to do what we love is so difficult. We have found a way to cross lands and to, you know, to still deliver. So thank you so much for all the great support that you are all offering us. And yeah, so I think Kim, would you like to maybe share? We will share with you guys the course that we will be running very soon, and some info that Kim's going to share with you.
Yeah, so really excited that on the 25th of September we start our 5-week main course, The Medicine Wheel and the Plant Kingdom. And this is going to be a journey deepening relationship with a plant that speaks to you as we journey around the wheel of life, the medicine wheel. And that's going to be really wonderful. And last year I had some great discoveries on that journey as well with coffee. Yeah. And ways which coffee was healing. So it's a really wonderful way to find different ways that we can deepen relationship and find new ways, like quinoa, perhaps making a tincture and discovering something there that hasn't been before. Absolutely. So that's a 5-week course with me and Anthar. And we've got a taster session coming up this weekend on the equinox, which is 2:30 till 5:30. So if you wanted to come and see what we're doing and have a bit of a taster and hear more, then please do join us. And if you go to the Ancestral Pathways School Facebook page, the events are there. And you can email us and we'll get back to you and book you on and give you any other details that you'd need. So that's coming up very shortly.
Thank you. Yeah, there you go. That's the banner for that. That's how you can find the information about this process, the Ancestral Pathways School. And thank you, Rocio. Amazing to have you here. And let me put again here also this link. Remember this link where you can go ahead and watch the documentary with Rocio. And also we have another beautiful 2 other documentaries with Mati, Grandma Mati here from Colombia, about corn, and many more beautiful things are coming. I'm not gonna tell you so much right now, but all I can say is that is one of the sacred plants of the Druids. So it's coming up very, very soon in the next documentary. So stay up here following us, and we're really happy continuing with this work. So thank you once again, Rocio, and big blessings. And also Rocio is at the moment in the UK. She lives over there at the moment. So, get in touch if you want to get in touch with her. And thank you so much for your time, Rocio, and for your sharing.
Thank you so much for all the audience and the time that they took to share with us. In gratitude for you all.
Thank you, Rocio. Oh, I think her internet stopped, did she?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
Well, she looks like sending kisses to everyone.
Yes, she does.
So thank you, Kim, as well for the connection, and thank you to all the audience. Thank you so much for you all to just being here watching and sharing and help us to share this around with your friends and your networks, and it'll be so lovely for many others to watch this beautiful program. So we will see you next Tuesday at 2 p.m. Colombia time or 8 p.m. UK time with another wonderful documentary. Don't miss it because it's going to be one of the sacred plants of the Druids. So you are going to love this. And this was all produced in Portugal. So this is another team of production that you haven't watched yet. So keep up and see you, everybody. See you all next time. Thank you, Rocio. Thank you, Kim. And thank you, all of you.
Guys. Thank you. Thanks,
See you very soon. Okay.
See you.
Ciao, ciao. Bye-bye.
Bye. Ciao. Hasta pronto.
Ciao, ciao. Hasta pronto.